Dr. Cinema here of the USS Hellblazer, and it's more Star Trek month, of course. So, in addition to looking back on the original Star Trek show, I, of course, have watched the movies, at least the ones relevant for this face off at the time of recording this. As of now, Star Trek is a total of 13 different films, the first six of which feature the characters of the original show as portrayed by their original actors. And to give a brief overview of some of the ones I won't be talking today, Final Frontier was just confusing and a mess. The first one was trying too hard to be like 2001 Space Odyssey. The Search for Spock and The Voyage Home were pretty good. They were enjoyable. I liked them. But its numbers 2 and 6 I think are truly great. I'm talking about Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. So, we've got 5 rounds of this. Let's see which one is the best original crew Star Trek film. Round 1, story. The story of The Wrath of Khan sees Kirk, now Admiral, joining the training crew of the Enterprise, which is staffed with more experienced people such as the Captain Spock, as well as Sulu, Uhura, McCoy, and Scotty. And as they are on their training 3-week ride through space for the training crew, another ship which has Chekhov on it and its captain are inspecting a planet ready to be tested for the Genesis Project, a project that will plan on making any uninhabitable planet habitable in a matter of minutes. But then they are captured by Khan. Khan made a 1-episode appearance on the original show and has left an impact, so much so that he is back in full force in Star Trek II. He lures in Kirk's ship, and it's a battle for the Genesis Project as well as for their lives. Now, the story of Star Trek VI sees the Klingon homeworld lose its biggest moon, and the explosion is wreaking havoc on their ozone, on their atmosphere, which will leave the planet uninhabitable within 50 Earth years. And so the Klingon Empire wants to start peace negotiations with the Federation, and people, including Kirk, are not happy about this due to some of their prejudice and experience with the Klingons. But due to a secret assassination attempt on the leader of the Klingons, it becomes a mystery of who's done it and trying to stop them before they try again at the peace negotiations. Obviously, neither one of these stories is completely simple, but they are very interesting to watch. We have the story of Khan, which is really like the past of Kirk coming back to haunt him and to completely shake up his position and his way of life as it is right now. And we have the Undiscovered Country, where the mysteriousness and unknown fate of the future scares Kirk and several of his crew members, which make them cling on to the past a little bit too hard. Now, while it is fun to see Khan again, I have to admit the story is a little bit more layered, and it holds a lot of intrigue and some actual discussions. So, round 1 goes to Star Trek VI. Now let's move on to round 2. The main characters. Of course, the main characters are pretty much the same. Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, Uhura, Chekhov. Sulu, who actually becomes more of a supporting character in Star Trek 6 since he becomes the captain of his own ship. Good for him. But yeah, typically the main characters are more or less the same in both films, with the addition of some supporting characters. Now they now all of them do give good performances in both movies. But as good as they were in Star Trek 6, a lot of their acting was fairly predictable in what they were going to do, how they're going to do it. Star Trek 2, there was more emotion. They were able to portray tension and fear pretty well because Khan is pretty badass. And of course, you have that heartfelt moment between Spock and Kirk as Spock is dying. I have been and always shall be your friend. Powerful words. I'm giving this round to the Wrath of Khan. Now let's move on to round 3. The villain. Now I know what you're thinking, but hear me out. Star Trek 6 has villains, but they're not as obvious or made clear throughout most of the movie. The movie takes more of a mystery approach of who is behind this incident. And there are a few different people involved, but if I have to pick one, it's probably the Klingon general known as Chang, played oddly enough by Christopher Plummer. I was not expecting him to play a Klingon, let alone a pretty good one. And he gives a good performance, even though you don't really know he's one of the bad guys until like the last part of the film. But I think we all know who wins this round. Khan. I mean, Khan has history with Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise due to his one episode appearance on the original show, and just he's so intimidating, yet he commands the screen when he's being shown, and he's throughout a lot of it he's calm and collected, but he does have his rage too. It's a great performance, a very memorable one. This round goes to, again, the Wrath of Khan. Now let's move on to round 4, Atmosphere. There are parts in Wrath of Khan that actually feel like a horror film, especially when they come across a lot of dead bodies. And that was a pretty interesting way of taking it, but I think it worked for the most part. And of course, you have tension and fighting between these two powerful characters, Khan and Kirk. Sorry. As for the Undiscovered Country, there is still tension there, no doubt, because Klingons and the Federation haven't always been the best terms, and now they're trying to reach peace negotiations. And they do say, like, this is not what it's always been like. It's always been Klingon and Federation against each other. And the discussions of this really make this film a tense, yet it really makes you think about these kind of nation relationships in the real world, and there's the mystery and the intrigue of it all. What I'm trying to say is that this, due to the many layers of the Undiscovered Country, it feels the most Star Trek-like film of the first 6 films. So with that in mind, I'm giving this round to the Undiscovered Country. Now let's move on to the 5th and final round, Legacy. Now you might think this is no contest, but The Undiscovered Country was the last film for the original actors of the original show. And so it is a pretty well done final send off for those people and their characters. Looking back on the past and remembering the good parts of it, as well as having hope for the future, both in narrative and probably in real life too. The Wrath of Khan, of course, is typically known as the best Star Trek film of the entire franchise, but that's a discussion for another video. As for the first 6 films, many people do consider it the best because of the action, the tension, the conflict, and of course the performance of Khan himself. There are a lot of great things in the Undiscovered Country that do make it one of the most well-remembered films of the franchise. But it's really one that appeals more to the longtime fan base. Wrath of Khan pleases longtime fans as well as the more casual viewer, and it's become known as one of the best sequels of all time. So, yeah, I have to give this one to the Wrath of Khan. The round and the face-off goes to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan! I have to. So there you have it. Of the movies that feature the original actors and characters of the original show, Star Trek II is the best film. But what about the films starring the characters of the next generation? What about the ones of the J.J. Abrams series? Those will be coming up later this month. Don't worry about that. But in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, share. And that's all right now. Beam me up, Scotty.